All right, we're talking about the diagnosis of diseases or illnesses in the muscular system. So what we just got finished talking about, ALS, tetanus, and myasthenia gravis, and those kind of things. So we're going to talk about diagnosis today. No talking, please. All right, X-ray. So X-ray is an obvious... Oh, is it frozen?
Yep.
That's okay, I can see it. It's fine with me. Strains are typically diagnosed by feeling the muscle to find where it is tender. So if you have a sprain, it's not hard to know where that area is. That might have been strained. Just by feeling the muscle, you can sense pain coming from there. Also, X-rays can be used. X-rays generally are used for finding fractures and breaks in bones. It's a little bit easier to see on the X-ray, but X-rays can sense also tears in ligaments and different things. So X-rays are a main way of diagnosing. MRI. Does anyone know? Oh, yeah, it says right there. It stands for magnetic resonance imaging. Sometimes an MRI is used. So this is a picture right here of sort of an MRI image. You lay down on this table and they pass you through these huge magnets. There's magnets all around you, and the magnets basically like pull on the electrons in your body, and those electrons move. They sense the electrons when they line up and when they move a certain way. So it can sense different parts of your tissue. It's very accurate. It's very loud. I've never had an MRI, but I've heard it's very loud. And this is a very tiny space. Some people get claustrophobic because it's like right around your head, and they pass you through there, and you're like on the table, and it's very loud. Like the magnets are banging really loud. So yeah, it's a bit of a scary situation for some people. I've heard. Anyways, but they're very detailed, and look at this image. I mean, it's amazing. Cross-sectional, right? You can get right down, and it's pretty good. So that's what an MRI is. There's a lot of physics involved with this. Oh, here we go, a little explanation. Basically how it works, that each kind of atom in your body will align with a different radio frequency when in a magnetic field. So magnetic resonance. Resonance means kind of like a oscillation, and image. So magnetic resonance image. So they pass different frequencies, and different things happen. MRI. Okay, so a little bit more detail here. MRI, a super magnet is turned on, and then different radio waves are broadcast at the body one at a time. The broadcast causes all the atoms of that type to flip. Then it shuts off those atoms, and so when it shuts off, those atoms give off a signal. So it's the magnets are in here, and also there's different kind of waves that are passed through. A supercomputer listens to all the signals to calculate where each atom and molecule of that type is. Then it repeats for the next kind of atom / molecule. It does this for all kinds of atoms in your body, and then combines these pictures to get a full 3D image of your body. Okay, treatments for muscular diseases. All right, so we talked about RICE, the acronym for RICE, R-I-C-E. For minor strains, you can treat them by giving them rest. Okay, try not to use them right away, let them heal for a bit. There will come a point where you will have to, like if you have a sprain or a strain in your ankle or a muscle, you rest it initially, and you put ice on it, you compress it, you elevate it. There will come a time where you'll have to work it, and even though it's a little painful, you will have to work it. It's just a muscle, so it has to build up again. So you might have to fight through a little pain later on in the healing process. But initially, you want to rest it, you want to ice it, you want to compress it, and we talked about this already, and elevate. So for most injuries that you might have, that's a good way to approach. Surgery. Torn muscles sometimes need to be treated with surgery. So if you literally have a torn muscle and it is hindering your movement or very painful in some way, if it's a big enough tear, they can go in and sort of carefully detach the muscle, how it is. There'll be some loose ends to your muscle probably. Over time, they will grow together with other muscle, but they can go in and they can stretch the muscle, pull it back, and stitch it up, and reattach it to where it's supposed to be. And then obviously there's a lot of rest and healing that has to happen, and then physiotherapy after that. Have you guys ever been through physiotherapy, like as part of a recovery? So through different injuries where your muscles have been damaged or you've been resting your muscles a long time to let them heal, you have to build them back up again. And physiotherapy does that. So certain degenerative diseases and others, and as I mentioned, injuries are treated with physiotherapy. So physio would be the sort of the members of your body and how they work together, and therapy is just a process by which you can work on the different parts of your body working together again. So I don't know if I told you this story. I separated my shoulder playing hockey, junior hockey, my first year playing junior hockey. I went into the boards and just my shoulder just slipped out. And anyway, so there was a long recovery after that, as you can imagine. I have to let it heal. But then I had to work out, and I had to go to physiotherapy, and it was actually one of the most humbling experiences of my life, because of course I'm this tough hockey player, right? And I'm just injured, I'm recovering from this injury, and I'm tough as nails, right? So anyways, this little middle-aged lady, she's my physiotherapist, and she gets me to lay down on the table, and it was my right shoulder, and I was laying down on my left side, and she says, okay, put your arm all the way up and then over on top of your head like this. Okay, fine. Then she literally gets up on the table and she puts her elbow into my lat right here, because when you separate your shoulder, all your muscles like convulse like this, and they kind of try and fix whatever happened. And so the muscles are really, so she gets up and she's like with her elbow like this, and she's going like this, working out these deep, and I'm like literally on the verge of tears. I'm like the toughest guy I know, and then I'm like almost crying. This little lady, I'm just like, this is the most pain I've ever allowed anyone to inflict upon me without a response. And it was like terrible. I'm like, okay, I am not as tough as I thought I was. But there was some major physiotherapy had to happen there.
It hurt so much is because you were injured, and because of
yeah.
She had to do that in order to.
Well, no, I know, but it's because the big muscles in there, like this is a huge muscle right there, and it was just totally mangled and kind of it was like there was a big knot in there, because there was a lot of trauma there. So yeah, she had to work out the knot. I know she had to do it, but it's like no, she wasn't just doing it for fun. But as part of your therapy, sometimes there might be a little pain involved when you start to get muscles back together. All right, massage therapy. Usually massage therapy is a little, sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable, because sore muscles or muscles where you have a knot, and I don't think the knot is an official medical term, but that's the term that we usually use for if you have a sore muscle, like I have a sore neck usually, okay, from marking and writing. I'm writing all the time. So this muscle right here is tensed a lot of my life, even writing this and doing marking. So my shoulder's always sore here. And if you feel, there's a big lump in my muscle there, and I usually, I usually try and, massage that lump. And really it's because your muscles flex from, moving, and if there's like a constant flex, then your muscle just kind of gets stuck in that permanent sort of flex position, and that's where you have a knot. And so you got to work it out. And that's why a massage feels real good, because you have little spots in your muscles where they're kind of like constantly flexing, and your brain doesn't really know it, or your brain doesn't tell your muscles to relax, or they're just kind of in that sort of habit, and you kind of have to work it out. And there's different ways you can actually train your brain to help remove knots. I mean, a little bit, like, if you do a series of kind of flexing and relaxing, you kind of teach your brain that this relaxing of the muscle feels good. We need to do this even when I'm not consciously thinking about it. You can actually train yourself to feel better. So that's why I see some people like doing, flexing up and down, or doing the stretches or whatever. You're actually trying to connect what your brain would naturally do, and, with that feeling of pain relief, so that your brain can kind of do it a little bit easier. But what do I know? I'm not a doctor. Anyways, so yeah, usually just massaging is literally just working out those bundles of muscle that's kind of like attached. You want to smooth them back out so that they're relaxed and smooth. Okay? All right, careers. What kind of careers could you do with your life if you want to be involved and study more of the muscular system. So there are many careers that focus on muscles and their interactions with the rest of the body. Some of the various doctors that work with the muscular system include a myologist. A myologist is a doctor that specializes in the muscles and how they work. Myologist. Neurologist. These doctors specialize in the study of nerves and how signals are sent through the body. Okay? So the connection between your brain, your nerves, and your muscles, the nervous system, a neurologist. An orthopedist. They treat anything to do with diseases or disorders of the bones, joints, ligaments, tendons, or muscles. You've also probably heard of like the orthopedic surgeon, right? So these are doctors that work on your bones and your joints, your ligaments, anything like that. So that's probably a term you've heard of, orthopedic surgeon. Osteopathic physician focuses on joints, muscles, and the spine. A little more specialized. Osteopathic, joints, muscles, and spine. Podiatrist, they treat anything to do with the feet or the ankles. Obviously, a lot of muscles and tendons and nerves involved there. And chiropractor, some of you have probably been to how many have been to a chiropractor before? Yeah? Okay. You guys are young yet, so you might not have been, but they treat anything to do with your spine, so your neck, your back, and a lot of different joints too. I don't think it's really, it's mostly the spine, but even the pelvis and things like that. So anything that's connected there, I guess. You guys have any questions? All right. Other occupations. Other professions that work with muscle groups are massage therapists, as we mentioned. They adjust the muscle groups, tendons, ligaments to help promote healthy movement. They mostly focus on muscles. They can, massage therapists can also actually kind of just take a look at you and they're like, oh, your shoulders aren't the same height. Do you have extra tension in this muscle? And they can feel you and like, oh, you're really tense here. I'm like, oh my God, I'm tense everywhere. I don't know when they massage me, but it's like, yeah, you're really tense here. So we have to work on this side of your body a little bit more than the other side. So it's usually my right side, like as I mentioned before. And this is the shoulder that I injured too, so this whole side is like tough now. Athletic trainer, these help athletes with movement and health related to movement. So athletic trainer, work with athletes. So usually sports teams will have some kind of athletic therapist or an athletic trainer. If you get hurt, they help you assess and help you recover. All right, and I think that's the conclusion of our notes for the muscular system, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about any of the slides that we've had in the last two lessons here? Anything you missed or anything you want some clarification on? All right. All right, I believe you guys have some CK12s that you might